Imagine waking up one morning feeling that your life is truly yours, unshackled from the expectations of family, society, and even your own past mistakes. You don't feel trapped by previous failures or haunted by judgment. Instead, you feel a sense of possibility, a blank canvas stretching ahead, waiting for you to take the brush in hand and paint your life with intention. This is the bold promise of The Courage to Be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. Rooted in Alfred Adler's individual psychology, the book is not a traditional self-help manual. It is a philosophical dialogue between a wise philosopher and a young man seeking answers, structured to reveal lesson by lesson how to live with freedom, purpose, and happiness. If you love powerful, insightful, and life-changing books, then you've found the right channel. Every week, we break down the ideas that transform mindsets, elevate success, and shift lives. So don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because you'll want to catch every book we review. Let's continue. From the outset, the book challenges a pervasive assumption that our past determines who we are today. Many people, globally and in the United States, carry a deeply ingrained belief that early trauma, failures, or setbacks confine them to a fixed path. If only my childhood were different, if only I had the right opportunities, I could have achieved more, we think. But the philosopher disrupts this narrative. Your past is not your prison. Instead, the past becomes material for crafting your life, a source of insight rather than limitation. Real freedom begins the moment we recognize this. The first lesson, subtle but revolutionary, is that you are not the sum of your experiences. You are the sum of your choices about how to use them. Consider, for example, the experiences of people who lived through the COVID-19 pandemic. Many globally felt trapped by isolation, disrupted careers, or emotional strain. Yet, individuals who reframed their circumstances as opportunities to learn new skills, connect differently with family, or build new ventures experienced transformation. In the US, countless workers pivoted careers or started home-based businesses, choosing agency over victimhood. Globally, youth in countries like Nigeria and India took advantage of digital learning platforms to acquire skills they would not have accessed otherwise. The lesson is clear. Circumstances themselves do not define you, your response does. The philosopher's argument draws upon a teleological perspective. We are not driven solely by causes in our past, but by the goals we set for ourselves. In other words, human behavior is purpose-driven. This lens is liberating because it reframes challenges as opportunities to pursue meaningful goals rather than shackles that constrain action. Imagine two individuals with similar childhood hardships. One allows these experiences to define them, the other uses them as a springboard for self-improvement. The difference is not luck, it is choice. The second lesson builds naturally from the first. The freedom to choose is intertwined with the courage to be disliked. Adlerian psychology reveals that much of human dissatisfaction stems from seeking approval. Social media, workplace dynamics, even family expectations often push people to conform or perform, creating a life that may look successful externally but feels hollow internally. In the US, this is reflected in the rise of quiet quitting, employees disengaging from work that does not align with personal values. Globally, youth movements from Latin America to Asia show similar trends. Individuals are increasingly rejecting predefined paths in favor of pursuing goals meaningful to them. The courage to be disliked is not about confrontation or rebellion for its own sake. It is about detaching your sense of self-worth from external validation. This principle is visible in the professional realm today. Leaders embracing values-based leadership may make unpopular decisions, but cultivate trust and respect over time, demonstrating the long-term power of prioritizing integrity over approval. With the realization that past events do not define us and that the need for approval erodes freedom, the text introduces task separation, a third critical lesson. The philosopher asks, whose task is this? Task separation is the practice of identifying where our responsibilities end and another person's begin. So often, human relationships become fraught because we assume responsibility for others' emotions, choices, or outcomes. By reclaiming responsibility for ourselves while respecting the autonomy of others, conflict decreases and clarity increases. In global context, this principle is evident in effective development projects where roles and responsibilities are carefully delineated. Communities thrive when they manage their own projects with guidance rather than interference. In the United States, emotional intelligence research emphasizes that understanding the boundaries of personal and others' responsibilities is key to professional and personal effectiveness. Leaders who micromanage or impose solutions often face resistance. Those who empower autonomy see engagement and trust flourish. The narrative then explores feelings of inferiority, a universal experience that Adler reframes not as a deficiency, but as a motivational tool. Many people experience inferiority in comparison to peers or societal standards. Adler suggests that the critical question is not, why am I inadequate, but how can I use this feeling to move toward my goals? In essence, inferiority is an invitation to personal growth and contribution, not a condemnation of worth. Globally, movements encouraging youth entrepreneurship illustrate this concept. Young Nigerians facing limited formal employment opportunities turn perceived disadvantages into creative ventures, using perceived inferiority as fuel for contribution to society. Similarly, in the U.S., mental health campaigns encourage reframing personal challenges as opportunities for self-improvement and skill building. Reframing inferiority naturally leads to the principle of horizontal relationships. Rather than positioning oneself above or below others, Adlerian philosophy advocates for egalitarian interactions based on equality, mutual respect, and contribution. Vertical hierarchies, where one dominates and another submits, often lead to resentment, alienation, and psychological distress. Horizontal relationships, by contrast, cultivate cooperation and shared purpose. Examples abound. In American corporations experimenting with flat structures, employees experience greater autonomy and engagement. Globally, participatory community initiatives like Brazil's participatory budgeting or Kenya's Baraza dialogues demonstrate that mutual respect and equality enhance collaboration and sustainable progress. Living authentically in the present moment is the next lesson. Past regrets and future anxieties can paralyze decision-making. Adlerian psychology emphasizes that freedom exists in the present and happiness is a function of conscious, intentional engagement with life as it unfolds. Modern mindfulness practices mirror this insight. In workplaces across Silicon Valley, students in Scandinavian schools, and wellness programs globally, focusing on present actions reduces stress, improves focus, and strengthens relationships. Athletes, negotiators, and performers also leverage this principle, honing attention on one task at a time rather than dwelling on past mistakes or hypothetical outcomes. In combining these insights, the philosopher ultimately guides the young man toward a unifying principle. Courage is the thread that ties all lessons together. Courage to reject external validation, to embrace the present, to contribute despite feelings of inferiority, to interact as an equal, and to claim autonomy over one's life. This is the core of Adlerian happiness. Historical figures embody this courage. Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat not for praise, but in alignment with her convictions. Malala Yousafzai risked her life for girls' education. Both lived with purpose and endured the disapproval or risk of others, demonstrating the power of courage in shaping a meaningful life. Having awakened to the radical notion that your past does not define you, that freedom demands detachment from approval, and that courage is central to authentic living, Part 2 of our journey explores how these lessons are applied in relationships, work, and community, and how they reverberate in the modern world. A major source of human suffering comes not from circumstances themselves, but from the way we perceive our relationships. Many people carry an unspoken belief that others must approve of me, or that relationship problems are caused by others' behavior. The philosopher challenges this assumption with a radical insight.
Conflicts are not caused by others, they are co-created and therefore subject to choice. In Adlerian terms, conflicts are problems of interpersonal relationships, not immutable truths. Consider, for instance, modern office conflicts. A team member may feel undervalued or criticized. The instinct is often to respond defensively or to blame management. Applying Adler's insight reframes this scenario. The conflict is a task, a space to exercise communication, empathy, and accountability, rather than a battlefield of blame. In the U.S., companies increasingly train employees in task-based conflict resolution and emotional intelligence, reflecting the principle that taking responsibility for one's role in conflicts transforms outcomes. Globally, non-governmental organizations working in diverse communities experience the same dynamic. In regions of Southeast Asia, for instance, community disputes often escalate when individuals assume that outcomes are fixed or dictated by others. Successful mediation models instead focus on identifying each participant's role and responsibility, a direct application of task separation. By focusing on whose task is this, leaders reduce tension, build understanding, and foster cooperation. The lesson here is profound. You cannot control others, but you can control your engagement and contribution within any relationship. Recognizing this reduces resentment, diminishes anxiety, and restores agency.
Building upon task separation, the next step is to redirect focus from recognition to contribution. Many people seek happiness through accolades, praise, or tangible rewards, yet the philosopher argues that fulfillment arises from the act of contributing to others' lives without attachment to approval. In practice, this looks like mentorship, volunteering, or simply performing one's work with care and diligence without obsessing over recognition. In the U.S., the rise of servant leadership models demonstrates the effectiveness of this principle. Leaders who focus on serving their teams rather than pursuing personal accolades often cultivate higher productivity, morale, and loyalty. Globally, initiatives such as microfinance projects in India and Kenya exemplify the power of contribution. Individuals and organizations focus on empowerment and impact, not personal recognition. The principle also transforms parenting, education, and personal relationships. Children thrive when adults guide and support without imposing approval as a condition of love. Teachers who prioritize student growth over evaluations instill confidence and resilience. In romantic relationships, partners who focus on mutual contribution rather than winning praise foster connection and trust. Real-world application. During the COVID-19 pandemic, countless healthcare workers around the globe exemplified contribution over recognition. Many faced exhaustion, risk, and minimal acknowledgement, yet their commitment to patient care and public health reflected intrinsic motivation rather than external reward. Their fulfillment arose from living purposefully, illustrating Adler's claim that happiness is found in meaningful contribution, not in validation. A surprising insight of Adlerian thought, emphasized in the book, is that the pursuit of extraordinary status or superiority can be a barrier to authentic happiness. Many individuals obsess over achievement, social standing, or notoriety, believing that being ordinary equates to mediocrity. The philosopher challenges this by asserting that the courage to be ordinary, to embrace your life without comparison or pretense, is a source of true freedom. In contemporary society, especially in the U.S., the drive for exceptionalism is pervasive. Social media amplifies comparisons where curated portrayals of success and glamour create pressure to perform. Globally, similar patterns emerge. In East Asian cultures, where societal performance standards are high, individuals experience burnout and anxiety due to relentless pursuit of external recognition. Adlerian philosophy invites a radical shift. Life satisfaction emerges not from outshining others, but from living according to your values and contributing meaningfully in your immediate context. Examples abound.
Japanese community projects, small-scale American artisans, or neighborhood leaders worldwide often work quietly, yet their impact is profound. Happiness and respect grow organically through consistent contribution, not through pursuit of status. This lesson echoes the philosopher's mantra: life is not a competition, it is an opportunity to engage meaningfully. Adlerian ideas about task separation extend vividly into parenting and education. Many conflicts between parents and children arise from blurred boundaries, parents controlling children's feelings or dictating their life choices. Similarly, in schools, students' dependence on constant validation can hinder independence. Applying task separation here means focusing on guiding, supporting, and contributing without imposing control over outcomes. A parent may encourage a child's growth, but must recognize that the child's happiness, effort, and perception are theirs tasks. Educators who empower students to take responsibility for learning create intrinsic motivation and self-reliance. Globally, this principle resonates in progressive educational systems. For example, Finland's education model emphasizes autonomy, trust, and intrinsic motivation. Students are not micromanaged or pressured for constant approval. U.S. initiatives such as Montessori or project-based learning similarly foster independence, reflecting the power of task separation in shaping self-directed, resilient learners. Practical implication: children who grow up with task separation internalize responsibility, learn to contribute, and develop confidence, illustrating how Adlerian principles manifest across cultures in contemporary times. One might imagine that the courage to be disliked isolates us. On the contrary, Adlerian psychology posits that true freedom and happiness arise in the context of meaningful community contribution. Living for oneself alone leads to isolation and stagnation, whereas contributing to others' lives without seeking validation nurtures belonging and fulfillment. Globally, volunteerism, social entrepreneurship, and cooperative initiatives exemplify this principle. In the U.S., community service programs and nonprofit engagement grow steadily because individuals recognize the psychological benefits of contributing to something larger than themselves. In India and Africa, grassroots organizations thrive on collective engagement, demonstrating that fulfillment is inseparable from connection and contribution.
This principle also reframes social anxiety or fear of rejection by shifting focus from personal acceptance to meaningful contribution. One transcends the paralyzing fear of being disliked. Psychologically, this reduces self-centered rumination and opens a pathway to authentic participation in society. The courage to be disliked thus becomes a pathway to connection, paradoxically strengthening relationships rather than weakening them. By now, a pattern emerges. Every lesson builds upon the previous one. Recognizing the past's non-determinism, detaching from approval, separating tasks, embracing contribution, and cultivating equality culminates in a central Adlerian insight. Happiness is not a result of circumstances, status, or recognition. It is a choice enacted moment by moment. This lesson resonates in modern psychology through cognitive behavioral approaches, positive psychology, and mindfulness. Studies in the U.S. demonstrate that intentional behaviors, gratitude practice, acts of kindness, meaningful engagement, increase life satisfaction more reliably than external achievements. Globally, practices like Bhutan's Gross National Happiness Index emphasize that societal structures must prioritize psychological well-being over purely economic outcomes. Both examples illustrate Adler's principle. Happiness is an active pursuit rooted in purpose, courage, and contribution. Historical figures embody this lesson vividly. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison under harsh conditions, yet emerged with a commitment to reconciliation and community over bitterness.
His happiness and effectiveness were choices he enacted despite circumstances, an illustration of Adler's radical claim that we are the architects of our own fulfillment. Perhaps the most crucial takeaway of this part of the book is that courage is not static. It is cultivated through repeated, deliberate practice. Every decision to act authentically, to contribute without expectation, to resist comparison, and to separate tasks reinforces the psychological muscles required to live fully. Courage is exercised in daily life, speaking truth at work, accepting oneself without perfection, or contributing to family and community despite disapproval or uncertainty. Real-world examples abound. In American society, whistleblowers in corporate or government sectors demonstrate courage by challenging unethical norms. Globally, activists in oppressive regimes risk disapproval, punishment, or social ostracization to pursue principles and contribute meaningfully. Each act of courage, no matter how small, reinforces an internal commitment to autonomy and purpose. Thus, Adler's philosophy, as interpreted by Kishimi and Koga, is not abstract. It is a daily practice of choices that collectively shape a life of fulfillment, authenticity, and freedom. At the close this part of the book, we observe how Adler's principles from the courage to be disliked translate into concrete modern life applications. The lessons of task separation, contribution over recognition, horizontal relationships, courage in ordinariness, parenting and education, community connection, and active happiness form an interconnected system. Each principle reinforces the others. Detachment from approval strengthens contribution. Contribution enhances connection. Connection enables authentic choice, and authentic choice cultivates courage. In global and American contexts alike, these insights provide a psychological roadmap for thriving amidst social pressures, personal insecurities, and cultural expectations. They challenge conventional notions of success, encourage deep self-reflection, and illustrate that happiness, freedom, and purpose are not distant ideals, but choices available today. As we enter the final part of our journey, the foundational lessons from Part 1 and Part 2 now converge into a more profound understanding. Living courageously is not simply a matter of thinking differently, but of engaging authentically in every aspect of life, relationships, work, and society, guided by purpose and contribution. At this stage, the dialogue between the philosopher and the young man reveals the deepest dimensions of Adlerian thought, how to navigate love, work, and community while maintaining autonomy, equality, and courage. Perhaps no area of life reveals our psychological patterns more vividly than love. Many people enter romantic relationships seeking validation, fear of loneliness, or to compensate for feelings of inferiority. The philosopher challenges these assumptions. Love is not about possession, control, or approval. It is about mutual contribution. True love is horizontal, egalitarian, and rooted in shared growth rather than hierarchical or transactional. Consider the American context. Relationship counseling increasingly emphasizes attachment security and mutual contribution rather than dominance or approval-seeking behaviors. Studies show that couples who prioritize support, shared responsibility, and autonomy in decision-making increase life satisfaction more reliably than external achievements. Globally, examples abound. Co-parenting models in Scandinavian countries emphasize equality and collaboration, demonstrating that contribution, not control, strengthens relational bonds. This principle also reframes our understanding of self-love. Adlerian psychology posits that self-esteem rooted in superiority or comparison is fragile. Instead, valuing oneself comes from acknowledging one's capacity to contribute meaningfully to the lives of others. By reorienting love as contribution, we cultivate connection while maintaining autonomy, reducing dependence on external approval. This part of the book explores contribution as central to happiness.
Here, the book emphasizes work as a critical arena for enacting Adlerian principles. Many people approach work through extrinsic lenses, status, salary, or prestige, yet fulfillment arises when work is framed as an opportunity to serve, contribute, and create impact. Globally, examples of this are widespread. Social entrepreneurs in Latin America, Africa, and Asia often prioritize community impact over income, yet report high life satisfaction and purpose. In the US, movements such as conscious capitalism advocate for organizations that balance profit with social contribution, echoing Adler's insight that purpose-driven work fosters genuine fulfillment.
The book also challenges the idea of career as a competition. Instead of striving to outshine colleagues or seek validation through promotions, individuals are encouraged to focus on tasks they can contribute meaningfully to, aligning effort with purpose rather than recognition. This shift alleviates anxiety, fosters resilience, and enhances creativity. The modern gig economy, with its focus on flexible, skill-driven contributions, inadvertently mirrors this philosophy. Freedom and autonomy often enable people to pursue meaningful projects rather than simply climb hierarchies. Building upon contribution and horizontal relationships, the philosopher emphasizes the role of community. We are social beings. Our growth is inextricably linked to our interaction with others. Yet, traditional notions of belonging often involve conformity, status-seeking, or approval dependence. Adlerian psychology reframes community as a collaborative space for mutual contribution, not competition or judgment. Globally, cooperative economic models, participatory budgeting, and neighborhood initiatives exemplify this. Community projects in Kenya, India, and Brazil succeed when participants act as equals, take responsibility for their tasks, and contribute without obsession over recognition. Similarly, American civic organizations thrive when volunteers prioritize purpose over accolades, demonstrating that authentic participation fosters fulfillment and strengthens social cohesion. This lesson also has profound psychological implications. When individuals shift focus from personal approval to meaningful contribution, social anxiety diminishes. The courage to be disliked no longer threatens isolation. Instead, it enables deeper, more authentic connections. By now, it becomes clear that Adlerian happiness is not a passive state. It is a series of choices enacted moment by moment. The philosopher asserts that happiness is a choice, not a consequence. Unlike models that suggest happiness follows achievement, wealth, or recognition, Adler teaches that fulfillment emerges from intentional, value-aligned action. In the US, research in positive psychology and cognitive behavioral therapy underscores this principle. Individuals who practice gratitude, engage in acts of kindness, and pursue meaningful goals report higher life satisfaction regardless of external circumstances. Globally, Bhutan's Gross National Happiness Framework institutionalizes this idea at a societal level, demonstrating that happiness is a product of conscious engagement, not mere material accumulation. Historical exemplars reinforce this lesson. Nelson Mandela, confined for decades under apartheid, deliberately chose reconciliation and contribution upon release. Malala Yousafzai, despite violence and exile, chose to fight for education. These acts illustrate that happiness and fulfillment are deliberate choices exercised even under adversity. A recurring theme throughout the book is the fear of being disliked. This fear drives anxiety, conformity, and emotional dependency. The philosopher's insight is radical yet practical. Being disliked is not only inevitable, but essential for authentic living. Freedom requires that we act according to values, purpose, and contribution rather than external validation. Real-life applications are widespread. In American workplaces, whistleblowers often face disapproval and risk, yet their courage can initiate systemic change.
Globally, human rights activists risk social alienation, imprisonment, or worse, choosing principles over popularity. Each instance demonstrates that courage to be disliked is not reckless rebellion, but a prerequisite for integrity, impact, and self-determination. This lesson also resonates in personal relationships. By embracing authenticity rather than performing for approval, individuals foster deeper, more resilient connections. The paradox is striking. Accepting the possibility of disapproval often increases social acceptance because authenticity resonates more than performative compliance. At this stage, all lessons converge into a coherent life philosophy. The sequence is intentional. 1. Reject the past as deterministic. Recognize your ability to craft meaning. 2. Detach from approval. Cultivate internal validation and autonomy. 3. Separate tasks. Reclaim responsibility for your own actions while respecting others' autonomy. 4. Reframe inferiority. Transform feelings of inadequacy into motivation for contribution. 5. Embrace horizontal relationships. Interact as equals to build authentic connection. 6. Live in the present. Engage intentionally with current circumstances. 7. Prioritize contribution over recognition. Focus on impact rather than reward. 8. Act with courage daily. Face disapproval and uncertainty to live authentically. 9. Engage in community. Connect meaningfully without losing autonomy. 10. Choose happiness moment by moment. Enact fulfillment through intentional action. Through this integration, Adlerian psychology offers a practical blueprint for modern life, applicable globally and in the US. The principles are not theoretical, they are actionable, adaptable, and transformative.
Let's examine contemporary examples where these principles converge. Corporate leadership. Leaders like Satya Nadella at Microsoft emphasize empathy, collaboration, and contribution. By focusing on empowering employees rather than enforcing hierarchical control, he demonstrates task separation, contribution over recognition, and horizontal relationships. Social movements. Greta Thunberg's climate activism exemplifies courage to be disliked, contribution, and living according to values despite criticism and disapproval globally. Everyday life. Teachers, parents, and volunteers who prioritize contribution, task separation, and authentic engagement over recognition create ripples of impact in communities worldwide. These examples illustrate that Adler's principles are not abstract. They manifest in measurable impact, resilience, and fulfillment. Throughout the dialogue, philosophical echoes surface, reinforcing Adler's insights. Nietzsche. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. The courage to live authentically is sustained by purpose, aligning perfectly with Adlerian focus on goals over past causes. Viktor Frankl. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. The book embodies this principle, emphasizing the present moment, contribution, and internal locus of control. Marcus Aurelius, Stoicism. Focus on what is within your control. The philosophy of separating tasks mirrors Stoic detachment from external judgments. These philosophical resonances enrich the practical lessons, providing a timeless foundation for modern application. The book does not prescribe rigid exercises, but the principles suggest actionable habits. 1. Reflect daily on task separation. Ask, whose task is this? 2. Journal on contribution. Identify one action per day that improves someone else's life without seeking recognition. 3. Mindfulness practice. Focus attention on present actions to reduce anxiety and increase intentionality. 4. Relationship recalibration. Engage as an equal, practicing empathy while maintaining boundaries. 5.
Courage exercises. Deliberately perform one action daily that risks minor disapproval to strengthen authenticity. Applied consistently, these practices transform awareness into habit, principle into lived experience. The essence of the courage to be disliked is a radical affirmation of human freedom. You are not a product of your past, the judgment of others, or societal expectations. Happiness, fulfillment, and contribution are available today, in this moment, through choice, courage, and purpose. This message is both universal and timely. In a world saturated with distraction, comparison, and fear of judgment, Adlerian principles provide a pathway to psychological freedom and meaningful living. From global youth activism to American civic engagement, from workplaces to families, the lessons manifest. Autonomy, courage, contribution, and equality are not abstract ideals, but actionable strategies for thriving in modern life. The philosopher's dialogue is thus more than theoretical. It is a guide for anyone willing to reclaim agency over their life. As we close the journey, the final synthesis is clear. Life's meaning is created, not inherited. Freedom comes from internal validation, courage, and task separation. Authentic relationships, work, and community engagement flow from contribution rather than control or recognition. Happiness is chosen, moment by moment, through intentional action. This cumulative philosophy transforms fear of disapproval into a gateway for growth, insecurity into motivation for contribution, and limitation into opportunity for purpose. Living courageously is not easy, but it is the essence of human fulfillment. As Adler, Kishimi, and Koga illuminate, true happiness is neither granted nor inherited. It is earned through courage, contribution, and authentic choice. If this message resonated with you, subscribe and join us for more wisdom that fuels growth.